Hi everyone, this is Kelly from The Truth in Story, and I'm here to take a look at Colette Baron-Reid's a new Oracle deck that she has done with, oh yeah, see, one of my pet peeves. Hay House, one of my pet peeves. I shouldn't have to search for the artist. I'm going to have to probably go into the guidebook. So it's a pet peeve of mine. I think that the artist is really important in Oracle decks. And so while I understand that Colette Baron-Reid created the deck, and so should certainly be prominent, I should be able to see the artist on the actual box. Here we go. If I had glasses that bond better, I would see it. It says cover design by Nick Welch and cover art by Jenna Della, I can't even read it because of my eyesight, Grotaglia. But it's not just the cover art. She does all of the artwork. So it's just a pet peeve of mine. I know I say it every time it's not there, but it is simply, like even this, like to me this is fine. This is the Mystical Shaman, and this is the inside box. So I don't have the outer box with me, but we have the creators of the deck illustrated by Jenna Della Grotaglia, right? So it's right there. I don't have to hunt for it. I don't have to look for it in a tiny script somewhere. You know, that to me is perfectly acceptable for an artist that is, you know, illustrating a deck, another person's creation. Again, pet peeves. But one of the reasons I was excited about this deck is that I actually really do love the Mystical Shaman. I know that there are mixed feelings about this particular deck. I have used this deck a lot, so I do feel I can kind of quickly go back and comment in terms of I think it's a beautiful deck and I've used it. I don't really use the guidebook with this at all. I'll sometimes maybe peek in to see something, but for the most part, the artwork by Jenna is amazing in conjunction with the keywords, and it functioning in that way, I think it works really beautifully. I've done many readings with it, and it's a deck that I really love. So when I saw that Colette Baron-Reid and the same artist Jenna were doing an animal deck, I was like, yes, please, yes, be the same cardstock, hopefully with the beautiful matte finish and the borderless and all of that, and it'd be great to work with this deck. And so that was sort of my hopes with this particular deck. So let's take a look here. Again, I feel like Hay House, I know I've said this in the last couple Hay House videos, but I do feel like Hay House has really upped their game in terms of production, and their decks have gone up in cost. This deck is $29.99 retail. I purchased it on Amazon. Let me look real quick. You know, you're not gonna pay the same price on Amazon for them ever. So let me just take a peek here. I believe it was under $20. Yeah, $18. So they've gone, you know, you can oftentimes find Hay House decks, you know, for $12 to $15. They have sales all the time on their site for 25% off Oracle decks. Definitely watch for those things. So while the cost of these newer Hay House decks are up a little bit, the quality of them, I think, is well worth the cost. The cardstock is beautiful. I have really used this deck a lot. It isn't bent. It's just, you know, it's holding up gorgeous to a lot of use. So so anyways, yeah, I think they've really stepped up their game here. So this particular one, we have one of those magnetic closures, beautifully done here. The spirits residing in the natural world have much to share, and the secrets of their forgotten language are now available to you. I don't think everybody's forgotten the language of animals, but perhaps more so than in past times. So then you have a nice little ribbon here. You've got a chunky book. Let's see how many pages. 204, but I do like that it fits in the box. Like, I do prefer guidebooks that can just all be enclosed in one space. I have a whole shelf of guidebooks that I would prefer to have all been inside of their boxes, but that's me because I don't use guidebooks as much perhaps as some people do. And then you have the cards. Now, this comes with the ubiquitous Hay House white paper around it, and you can see what it does. The first card, always, not always, but almost always, I would say, gets damaged because of that. You get this damaged edge to the card because they pull, and there are other decks that use wraps, but for whatever reason, Hay House pulls them too tightly or tries to make them too tight, and they damage the edge of the card. It's frustrating. You can, it's not a horrible amount of damage, and you can kind of, work it out. But when you buy a new deck, you prefer not to have it damaged by the packaging. So we have that. The backs are gorgeous. They're absolutely beautiful. It's got sort of a pastel mandala feel to it. So let's go ahead and put this over here. Love the box. Let's take a quick peek at the guidebook. The spirits residing in the natural world have much to share, and the secrets of their forgotten language are not available. We saw that. They urge us to reclaim our essential truth that we are one in spirit, connected to every living thing on this earth in a unified consciousness. With the draw of a card, you can share in this wisdom and better navigate your life, move beyond the obstacles of your perceived limitations, and tune into your infinite potential. So this is a 68 card deck that are looking at these, and this is important to note. This is looking not as the animals in the physical world. There are decks like that are working with the animals as you might run into them in the natural world. The purpose of this deck is not that. The purpose of this deck is to connect to the higher spirit of those animal groups, right? This is the understanding that perhaps there is a spirit of a tiger and a spirit of a lion and the spirit of these physical animals, but also something higher, just like we have us as human beings, and we talk about our higher consciousness. We talk about spirit guides, all different kinds of ascended masters, bodhisattvas, these kinds of things in which there are higher renditions of humanity at its best. And so this is sort of this is the point of this particular deck. And I think it's important when we go to look at the cards. So you have your table of contents alphabetized, which is lovely. I appreciate that. You have kind of a welcome. You have an introduction. Why this particular deck, these typical, like what you're going to find in an oracle deck. About the spirit animals and their meanings. The artwork represents the animal in spiritual form. So you will see a more mystical representation of it rather than the literal one. When you pull a card that shows dog spirit, for example, this is a symbol not of a dog with which you have a personal relationship, but the spiritual essence of dog, which implies an overarching theme of loyalty and unconditional love. If owl spirit is the card you choose, it is not depicting the owl in your backyard or nearby woods. Instead, the owl spirit card is depicting the essence of owl, the ability to see in the dark when our journey is obscured by lack of clarity. Owl spirit lets you know when it is time to let things die, releasing that which no longer serves. Each spirit animal represented in the Spirit Animal Oracle is a metaphor or symbolic representation to remind you of a theme of organizing principle. So these cards are not meant to depict, they're being very clear about this, all nature nor all the animals that share the earth. You know, they just simply can't. You can't have one deck that's going to have everything. Some people are going to be disappointed by what's there and what's not there, right? That's the way it goes. But I do think they're doing a good job in at least being very clear that they weren't attempting to represent animals in the natural world. And so that is, you know, maybe a preference. We talked in live chat about the Oracle deck that I've been recently working with animals, that has animals that do look much more representative of an animal in the physical world. And so which one of those and or both might appeal to you it's up to personal taste and what you're looking for. So then it goes into some spreads. So you have a 2-card reading. You have a 3-card reading. What do I need to know about the situation for my highest good? What is my next right action? Where could this evolve if I remain on this path? A 7-card new moon reading. Yeah, so not as specific like animal guide kind of reading. And then we have the cards with their messages. So we have a black and white representation. We have what spirit it is, in this case the ant spirit. There is what the key phrase is, time to collaborate, and then we have the message. And I'm going to go ahead and read this because I think it's important to some people, not everybody, but it's important to some people who love guidebooks and use them to see how it kind of expresses itself. When Ant Spirit comes to a visit, it is to celebrate the benefits of working in a partnership with others as part of a community or tribe. Spirit reminds you that to build your dream, you need to work with others, accept help, and trust in your most important partnership, the one that you have with Spirit. Your intentions will come to fruition if you remain awake and focused on co-creating your reality with others and with Spirit. Remember that the world around you can easily seduce you if you don't have some sort of practice or discipline like meditation to keep you on track as you build the life you desire. Connecting with others and having accountability partners can be very helpful, and it's unlikely that everyone will fall asleep at the same time. The other message Ant Spirit holds is that you are now at an auspicious time to ask for help and receive it. Whether you need help assembling a team, finding a new tribe, or requesting assistance from others who are there for you, everything is working to support you right now. Protection message. Do you really believe that you have to do everything yourself? Do you believe that somehow any help you get will be disappointing or not good enough? Perhaps it is time to address your issues of control and bias towards the negative. It doesn't matter where or why you came to be pessimistic or mistrustful. The fact that Ant Spirit is showing up now is a sign that you have an opportunity to heal and to relearn to trust that others will show up for you in a genuine way. Ant Spirit wants you to remember that your expectations and limiting beliefs are a vibrational offering that draws in the opposite of what you desire. Spirit wants to help you and will send collaborative partners your way. It's time to see the universe as conscious and connected, loving and helpful. Sorry about the loud motorcycle. But you must participate in this activity of co-creation. Creating reality is not just about dreaming. If you are feeling orphaned from, oh my goodness. And my window is not even open. I don't know how loud you're going to be hearing that, but that is not an open window. It's a loud, I love motorcycles, but that's a loud, obnoxious one. It's time to see the universe as conscious and connected, loving and helpful, but you must participate in this activity of co-creation. Creating reality is not just about dreaming. If you are feeling orphaned from community, reach out and communicate. If you feel vulnerable, know that being present in your vulnerability can help you draw in someone who wants to assist you. Trust in your partnership with Spirit, and your outer conditions will start to reflect that. Then you will see the miracles waiting for you, including partners who appear ready to lend a hand. So you've got 1, 2, and a bit pages for each animal spirit. I personally, I have, you know, if you follow my channel enough, you know that oftentimes Oracle deck guidebooks get me a little bit of the shivers of, you know, everything is coming along just fine, everything's going to be wonderful, these kinds of things, right? I think it bothers me a little less in something like an animal deck, which is literally a support deck, right? Well, in my opinion, the whole purpose of an animal deck is to have animal spirits or energies that are coming forward to help and to support you. And so that, it makes a little more sense in that case. I do like that they are giving, or not they, this is Colette Baron Reed, is giving a protection. What might you need help with, right? It's not just that, okay, you know, community's wonderful. It's like, okay, maybe you have some issues surrounding community. Maybe you need to work with those. So I think thinking about the cards in both those ways of what can it be suggesting you do, and also what could this be telling you at a deeper level that you might need to work with. I find that you know, if you're new to animal energy, then obviously it's helpful to have a lot of context. If you've worked a lot with animal, worked with books, worked with other animal decks, if you just use a little bit of common sense with animal, what we see the animals as, I think that you can probably get quite a bit without even using the guidebook. You know, we understand how ants work and how ants work as a unit, and how they really have that, much like bees have that message there of really working together for the greater good, and hard work and persistence and endurance and strength beyond their capacity and their size, right? So I think that there's a lot that you can do with an animal deck based on your own understandings and your own research about the different animals. So, and I don't think this deck is any different. Now, I think that you'll see right away, let me zoom in a little bit, where I think that some people, including myself, are a little bit like unsure about this deck, is that there are little crowns and, whoops, I turned the camera off. There are little crowns and jewelry and things on many of the animals that some of us find to be, at first glance, to be a little bit too much, maybe, perhaps, right? But I think that the fact that it is a reminder to us to think outside of just the animal that you might meet in the woods, and think about this essence or the spirit of that energy, and it becomes less problematic. You know, my issue is, let's take this example. This is an absolutely stunning card. There isn't any crowns, there isn't any earrings on this antelope. It is just Antelope Spirit, and it's stunning. Stunning. I personally wish that all of the cards were like this, because I still get the sense of Antelope Spirit here without there being a crown on the head. That being said, I have to say that going through this deck, because I have looked through the deck, the whole deck, in the end, it really doesn't bother me as much as I thought that it was going to. I would have preferred this, because I think some of the cards are absolutely gorgeous, and I would have preferred it to just be like this and let her artwork shine, and I just really love that. You know, sometimes... So we'll just go through it and see. I just will say that I was pleasantly surprised. By the time I had gone through the whole deck, I thought, you know what, that actually doesn't bother me as much as I might have thought it would. So here we have the Ant Spirit, Time to Collaborate. Again, gorgeous cardstock. It is the same cardstock as the Mystical Shaman, if you have it, the same size, the same beautiful mat. Obviously, it's the same artist, so it's gorgeous. Here we have Antelope Spirit, Life is Speeding Up. I will say also, well, let's continue through. I haven't paid a lot of attention to the phrases yet. That's another place in which sometimes Oracle decks lose me, because they just get to be a little... I'd rather just have keywords and not have cheesy phrases. But I don't know that that's the case in this one, so let's take a look. So stunning, stunning card. Here we have Antelope. I actually think this one does a pretty good job. We can see that there are earrings here. We have the essence of spirit, but it's not over the top, and I think that it works really beautifully. Setting healthy boundaries. These are not sticking together. They're just matte, so they're not slippy. This, when I first initially went through it, this was my least favorite card, just because all of this, it just, the feathers and the swirly swirl and the flowers and the jewelry piece here, it was just a little bit much for me. It feels like, you know, maybe this is a, you know, from hippie badger. And badgers are really like it says, be fearless and bold. Like, I think of badgers much like we have wolverines up here up in Michigan, and I think of badgers as that really intense, bold energy. And so it was kind of like, really? But again, this is the spirit of the badger. But this to me was my least of my favorites. And like I said, by the end, I feel like overall it still appeals to me. So here we have Bat Spirit, which I think is really beautiful. Rebirth is assured. And again, when it's things like that it's assured, I feel like I just want like the keyword rebirth. Because depending on the question, sometimes phrases can get us stuck in not really associating it with the question. And so I just prefer to have kind of maybe some general keywords versus phrases. That is a personal thing. Everybody's different. There are many people who love there to be phrases. So I don't think that is a negative to the deck. It's just, you know, for me as in general. I love this beaver spirit. I think it's absolutely adorable. Lay a solid foundation, which works for beaver. Working hard. Bee spirit, sweet results await. You know, again, abundance would have been lovely. It's a gorgeous image. There may be something going on right here, but in general, this just feels like a stunning bee image. Same thing with the bobcat. I mean, this is gorgeous. Life is a mystery. Of course, that does make me want to sing. Life is a mystery. But I won't because my throat's a little hoarse today. That's gorgeous. Again, I would like every single card just to be like this. I still feel you really get the sense of spirit here. This is beautiful. Now, this does have things on it. You've got some head things going on. You've got some tattooing or, you know, hand stamping. You've got feathers. But I do love this. Of course, I am a huge person with bear spirit, and again, take time out. That doesn't speak to me of bear, but everybody's different, and I can still read this as a very protective energy that bear spirit says to me. So just be careful that and understand that that's not the fault of the creators. They're making the deck to say how they feel about these things. But I would say, as someone using them, you're not bound by this, right? What you know about brown bear and how it might react to the question at hand, that's what you need to go with. You're not bound by these. These are suggestions. That you don't have to feel yourself bound by that. I think this is gorgeous. Again, we do have some that almost like native face painting that's going on here. But I do think it's absolutely stunning. And I do think the universe providing is a good one for the buffalo, even though, of course, it's sad for the buffalo because we think of buffaloes as abundance because First Nations were able to use buffalo and use all parts of the buffalo in order to sustain themselves, for food, for clothing, for tools, for living places to live, you know, their tents and things of that nature. And so it was certainly a sense of abundance that comes from that kind of nature. Buffalo energy alone by itself, not being hunted for those things, might have a little bit. For me, it's more of that endurance, that heavy. There's a card, I believe it's in this deck, but I'm not going to try to find it, called Thundering Buffaloes or something like that. But it's got buffaloes running across it in a thunderous way. And that card has come up with me for me so much. And there is just a sense of strength, almost very oak energy for me. I said I wasn't going to try to find it, but obviously I am. And just as obviously, I am not going to find it because that would be too easy. But anyways, I'm going to stop. No, I'm not, because I'm getting close, although I don't know that I've seen every single... See, it's cards like these in the Mystical Shaman that made me was so excited because her artwork is just stunning. in this deck. Jenna's artwork made the Mystical Shaman, in my humble opinion. Yeah, here it is, Thunder. This card comes up for me a lot, and there is something really powerful and strong and enduring for me about Buffalo Spirit. Butterfly Spirit is beautiful. I mean, that is a stunning card, right? Absolutely stunning. Of course, transformation we always think about with butterflies, understandably so. Canary Spirit. I think this is beautiful. Again, the crown for me is a little bit much. It's standing on a flute. It's a little bit much, but it also works with the energy of canary and song and voice, although I think a canary in a tree would have just that degree of things. But it's beautiful. I mean, there's no... I guess what you can see a little bit, for me personally, the first couple decks that Jenna did with Colette Baron Reed, I think they were like the map and this other Oracle one that had a little bit more of these like random items and a little bit more of a cuteness to them, where they would have like elephants, you know, balancing on something or whatever. It was a little bit more of that surreal art, I guess I would say. Sorry, I just really wiggled the thing. I feel like in this deck you get a blending of that and the art style, the beautiful, stunning work of the Mystical Shaman. It brings in a little bit more of the whimsical. There's nothing whimsical about this deck, whereas this combines this deck with some of their more whimsical artwork. And I, just as a personal preference, this is what I prefer this, that it all be like this. But I didn't make the deck, so it's not my preferences, right? So here we have that. Here we have cat. I actually don't mind this. It's got a lot of stuff on it. I think just a plain cat would have been fine, but it's not too bad. I do love when cats are being linked to independence. Here we have Chameleon. This one I don't mind either. There's not really crowns or anything. Act as if. And somebody said to me, and I need to look this up, because somebody in another deck said chameleons really don't actually turn colors. I could be wrong, but I feel like in another deck somebody has said to me, oh, they get so frustrated when they see that because chameleons don't actually do that. But I do believe in terms of an archetype that we now see chameleons in that way. So I need to look into that. But I think the image itself is really beautiful. Now this is funny because truthfully, let's be honest, there's not much difference between these two in terms of there's flowers everywhere. You got this cow and it's got flowers on its head and everything. I absolutely actually like this card because this is a sweet gentleness to a cow that it works for me more than a badger being this way. So I do actually like this card. It makes me smile. This is beautiful. Still has stuff going on here, and it's got the knot work around it, but I think it is really beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. Co-create with Spirit. I think, me and Crow Spirit. Love Crow Spirit. It's just stunning. So we have that. Deer Spirit. Again, I do think deer is such beautiful energy and gentle, that this image works. It's beautiful. I mean, there's no question the artwork is stunning. Dog. I do love that there's a dog and a cat spirit because, you don't have to just be exotic animals to be animal spirits. That's for sure. So I really like that. Love this dolphin. I mean, that's so beautiful. Absolutely love this. I actually really love this too, and the crown on this one doesn't bother me. It just kind of seems to be beautifully blended with this gorgeous dove. Here we have Dragonfly Spirit, which is gorgeous. This eagle is stunning. Yeah, we do have a crown. It blends in a little bit better, but it's gorgeous. I love this. This is interesting, and I will say this, and one thing I like about this deck is there are some animal energies that you wouldn't necessarily expect to have in an Oracle deck, and that's refreshing, such as Electric Eel. This elephant is gorgeous. Elephant Spirit Learned from the Past. Absolutely beautiful. I mean, all of the cards are beautiful. They're just, you know, they're just different. I actually really love this Flamingo. That's so stunning. And you don't often see flamingos in Oracle decks about animals. This is beautiful fox energy. I do really love this, even though this has got a lot actually going around its face. But I do think it's gorgeous. Frog. Beautiful again. I mean, it's repetitive. I know. I'm sorry. But it's gorgeous. This one makes me smile because I just think of Jiminy Cricket with the crown, and he's like, this is Jiminy Cricket having now, you know, passed on and become an angelic or a cricket spirit or cricket guide. Groundhog Spirit, time to let go. Even though it seems to be clutching onto the heart, it's time to, you know, pry your fingers off and let go. Beautiful Hawk Spirit. Absolutely stunning horse. I mean, the imagery is gorgeous. Hummingbird. Koala. Love this koi fish. Love this lion. I mean, Jenna's artwork is just beautiful. Lizard Spirit. And I know that this is digital manipulation, but I do feel like, you know, as she has, if you look through her decks, you can see this progression to where she has gotten to where she can really layer the artwork well, and for the most part have it really be seamless mixing of digital imagery. I mean, this moth is gorgeous. I love this Mouse Spirit. Tend to the small things. I love it. Here we have a Nightingale on sort of a record player, phonograph thing where music would come out. Love is all around. It's really beautiful. I love this as well. I am a huge, since I was a little kid, I was fascinated with otters. You're never alone. They're very much always playful, always seem to be touching each other and rolling around with each other. It's just really beautiful. Owl Spirit. You see clearly now. I can see clearly now the rain. Look at that Panther Spirit. I mean, she does Panther energy so well. Yes, this is me. And you do get different things. So, like, this is Owl Spirit from the other. So, you know, there isn't any repeated imagery here. Same thing with the Panther and the Crow and even the Eagles. Like, they're very different. You don't feel like pieces of this was taken to create that the other deck whatsoever. The Crow is very different, but stunning. Because a Panther in this deck is just gorgeous. So is this one. I mean, they're both just stunning. Hummingbird is very different. The butterfly is very different. So there's definitely not, if you're concerned that they're going to be crossover images, there are not. So those are both panthers, and they're stunning, right? They're gorgeous, but they are not, you know, for the same image whatsoever. So that's obviously good to see if you actually have and use the Mystical Shaman. You're not having any repeated images. At least that I've seen so far. Parrot. I love that. My son had a Parrotlet for a long, long time. Very tiny, it's the smallest parrot, and very much personality way outweighed its size. Peacock for letting it shine. Does this one have a crown? Pig. This makes me smile too, I will say, because use your mind wisely. I love this because you think of Charlotte's Web, and it's like Wilbur now that he gets to be the pig spirit or pig guardian spirit, and it's use your mind wisely. Remember, she put wise pig up in the web. So this one makes me smile. Porcupine. I love this rabbit. Of the ones that have like all things on it, this is probably one of my favorites because it's just, it looks like a fairy rabbit. It makes me very happy. This Rhino, he's got the wreath around his neck of success. It's like he's run a race and he's gotten that wreath of going around his neck. Sandpiper, be playful. This is another one I don't think you see very often, and I really like that. This is gorgeous. The Scarab Beetle. This one looks like he's got a little sailor's hat on. This is so stunning. This is so stunning. I am a huge seahorse fan, and our zoo has a display of all different kinds of seahorses, and some of them are just amazing, like dragons, and I feel like they're miniature dragons. Skunk Spirit. Know your worth. Be sassy despite your smell. Snake is really gorgeous. Time to heal. I love that concept of healing with the snake. I love the Spider Spirit. I mean, that is gorgeous. I love this little squirrel. There are squirrels that have these like really pointy kind of ears like this. I can't remember what they're called, but I love it. I love the acorns. This, of course, is the front of the box and the book. Take time to lead. Beautiful starfish. I love starfish, and that is gorgeous. Swan Spirit, deep dive. I quite like that. You usually see things like beauty and stuff like that, so I like that. Turkey Spirit. This is another one that feels a little bit like with the buffalo, right? We have give with gratitude. Well, yeah, I mean, it's easy to say to the turkey who is, you know, in the United States, and I would guess maybe even in Canada perhaps, at Thanksgiving. They have a different Thanksgiving time than we do, but I'm guessing a lot of Thanksgiving turkeys occur, and it is a time of Thanksgiving, but obviously the turkey itself, I'm not sure is too, you know, is sacrificing its entire life for our thankfulness. So it's kind of like, feels a little bit painfully ironic to have give with gratitude with a turkey who is, you know, getting eaten in abundance. The same thing with the buffalo about abundance, when, you know, that abundance is coming from lots of loss of life for the buffaloes. So it's a kind of like, oh, but it's also, you know, in some ways appropriate, I suppose, to how we interact with them, unfortunately, and or fortunately, depending on how you see that. Turtle Spirit, slow and steady wins the race. I do love this. This is a sea turtle, which I see the slow and steady a little bit more with land turtles or tortoises, but it's absolutely gorgeous. Here we have the Vulture. He is decked out with a feather cape and a crown. He is not wasting anything. Now this is, you know, so obviously a good example of the natural world. And I guess that's the thing, you know, in terms of, you know, animals being used for food and kind of just the terminology there, the little bit ironicness there. You know, the natural world is not a cycle of herbivores, right? There are a natural order. I think that animal energy, of any kind of energy, is aware of the cycle of life and death, is aware of the food chain and all of these kinds of things probably much more intimately than we are, and that understanding of that. Here we have Wasp Spirit. Sometimes life stings. I like that. You see bees often, but you don't often see wasps. Whale Spirit. Trust the Great Mystery. This is a stunning card. Love it. Love the phrase. Then they have a White Raven. And I'm a huge, obviously, you know, crows and ravens. Yes, yes, yes. More the merrier. But I've never seen a deck with a White Raven in it. So let's just take a look at this one. Let's take a look. Trust in the magic. Nothing in the universe is random. The White Raven appears to remind you to pay attention to those synchronicities so that you might recognize patterns. Even the winds dance in a pattern, participating in the magic of Spirit's plan for all. Align with the highest goods. You will see that the White Raven is guiding you, an ally to you, and a messenger from Spirit. So we do see the crows as messenger, but with this white one, I think we're seeing much more of a direct message from Spirit. And we don't have actually two ravens. I think we have a crow, which is different. A crow, and then instead of a black raven, we have the white raven. I'm just double checking that. Yeah. Yeah. So that's, I liked that. I thought that was interesting. Wolf Spirit, absolutely beautiful. And finally, Wombat Spirit, which I believe is an Australian animal, and he's got his little crown, be at home. So, oops, these go. Don't want to start mixing my deck up. So you can see that the majority of the deck, I just kind of, and this may not be perfect, I may have missed some. The majority of the deck does have some things such as crowns or jewelry or, you know, adornments, I should say, of some kind. With then some of them, yes, they have like patterns and things on them, but being much more without those adornments and jewelry and things of that nature. So you do get the bulk of it does have that. But again, for me, like that to me is slightly cheesy goodness. That a lot of them I think are stunning the way that they are. So for the most part, I think this is, even with the, I mean, that just makes me smile. I can't not like it. That is stunning. So they're all beautiful, and I think that the key to this, and again, the only reason I know I'm talking about it a lot, because it was coming from these cards, and I was kind of hoping for a whole deck like this. So that's my own expectations, right? I was hoping for a whole deck of these types of cards, and so there was a disappointment factor when I realized that there were, you know, jewelry and crowns and things on them. But I think that when you really use that to focus in on the spirit of the animal and think of real sort of animal angels, animal spirit guides in a very literal sense versus just tapping into the energy of the natural animal, that you will, you know, I think that makes this work for me much better. And so you have, you know, decks that don't have that, and then you have these, and they're decks for different times and different questions, and depending on what it is that you're looking for. So I have the, you know, the two animal decks came up, and we had a lot of confusion in live chat because they're named somewhat similar. This is a Spirit Animal Oracle. The other one is the Spirit of the Animal Oracle by Jody Bergsma, which is currently my top favorite animal deck. But it is a lot more, the art is not, you know, it's not realism art, but it is much more realistic to the animal sense of things. But then that has a lot of text on it. There's things that, you know, so they're both up there, so you can check them out. There's the two animal oracles out there, and you can kind of decide which one or both that you might want to have. So I wanted to make sure after live chat that I got this up for people to be able to, you know, figure out what was going to work the best for them. But, you know, for me to have a deck in which Wilbur as an angel pig can come and give me support is a plus. It's a plus. So I'm just going to pull 3 cards here. Here's the peacock. Let it shine. Here's the spider. Make your dreams real. So shine by creating and putting your dreams out there in the world. And then of course, it always happens. And what's going to happen, I'll tell you this straight out. What's going to happen is that this is going to become one of my favorite cards. Because this happened with my Bohemian Gothic, where there was the one kind of cheesy card with the demon kind of protecting himself in the castle. And he and I have become BFFs. I love that card. It's one of my favorite cards in the entire deck, and that's what's going to happen. This badger is going to show up for me over and over again until all of a sudden it's going to end up being my favorite card. But I like this message, right? Just go out there and shine. Do what it takes to get your dreams out there. Don't be afraid. Be fearless about it and get out there. Fearlessly shine. Fearlessly manifest what it is that you want to manifest. It's a good message. So I love that. I did want to quickly kind of, my thought processes when I knew this deck was coming out, and I see that I have not lit my candles. Oh well, that's too bad. So let me just, I do a reading where I pull an animal. In fact, I have one to do, so I'll probably use this together this way. And so then my thought was, okay, I can have the positions. This is how I do it. I pull one animal as an overarching animal, which would probably be from the Jody Bergsma deck. And then I pull for fire, air, water, and earth. And then I pull, I usually kind of reverse it, but I just want to show it to you. So I'm not doing it exact. But then I pull an animal energy that's going to, so in the position, in the person's life surrounding fire and transformation, it's part of the journey right now. In terms of the mind, needing to go deep, dig deep in the mental things. In terms of water, being really grounded in the emotions. And in terms of earth, this is not a time for running out and moving fast. This is a time for standing still for a moment. So I would kind of, again, this is just a quick thing. And then my thought that would be then, so I split, so actually this would come next. So then what is an animal energy that's going to help with that? What is an animal energy that's going to help with this aspect? And so on and so forth. And look at how gorgeous those are going to work together, which is why I was excited about that, because it's a reading that I really enjoy doing for clients, and having something like this, that these decks with the same artist is going to, I think, really it's going to be a treat and a joy for me, and hopefully obviously for my clients. So I know that this deck is going to get much use from me, because I love again how these are going to work together. It's just beautiful. So I hope that helps you in some way. I know that it's so hard, it's the nature of things. Books trend in similar types of books that come out. Movies trend in similar types of movies that are going to come out, or yeah, I think I was talking movies. This kind of thing happens, and the same thing happens in the deck world. There are trends in which certain types of decks all kind of come out together in the same year. You have similar kinds of decks, and animal decks are also going to obviously be in the same boat. For me, that's only a plus. If you followed me long enough, you know that I love, while I talk to you and set up a thumbnail, you know that I love animal decks. And most of the time, unless I simply look at an animal deck and think, no, I'm going to pick them up. And I am going to do, as I said in live chat, I wanted to do the walkthrough of this one. I'm going to pull, I have an older video where I pull out all of my animal decks and talk about them, but I've certainly acquired more since then. And so I'm going to do sort of a refresh of that and kind of pull out all of my animal decks. What are my favorites? Which ones I don't use and why I don't use them? Just to kind of get that. And I'm going to do the same thing with the earth-based shamanic decks that have all come out. So be watching for those in the next week. But I wanted to get this single one done before I pulled them all together. So thank you for watching. It has been a joy to walk through this with you.